I'm building a new idea on what I call the public thinking, which is outside of the future topic. So it's not just about the future, but it's about public topics. So sustainability,
Yes.
artificial intelligence, governance, things that are not just about the future. It doesn't have to be about technology. It doesn't have to be about the
Yes.
future. It doesn't have to be about business and economics. There are more important things than to figure out how to use AI for your business, you know? These things are important, but they're not the only thing that's important. Like with artificial intelligence, we have this issue. There are practical issues, of course, work and jobs, routines, but then there's also security and safety issues about control and about governance. We can't be in a situation where we are going to do whatever makes money. That is a very foolish proposal, because we did that with oil and gas and coal, and we did whatever we wanted to do, and now we end up in a world of 3 or 4 degrees of warming.
Still, people are asked, what is futurism?
And Turkey is a little bit different. The futuristi, whatever it's called in Turkish, right? People are aware of the future concept in Turkey more than I find, for example, in Germany. It's the Zukunftsforscher, the future researcher, mostly academics. It's like a whole different thing. So searching for futurists is only meaningful in countries where the language is bringing up futurist. Like in Turkish, it's almost the same, right? Futuristi. And in Spanish, it's futurologo. But to me, that has been a fantastic marketing thing, and that's been great. At the same time, I don't want to be put into a drawer of Gerd talks about technology in the future and how great everything is. That is just a limiting thing. Also because many companies, they want you to speak about the amazing world that's coming. And that is getting tiring, because it's not just about the amazing world that's coming and the great potential. There's also more important things like, how do we collaborate? How do we build that new world that's coming? How do we make sure we stay human? And there's a strong influence, I think, in Turkey from humanism. But basically, this whole discussion is a big thing in Turkey, I think. And it will come back when the time is right to think about the future strategy of the country, but also being part of a larger story. Because now we're moving into a world where geopolitics have changed so much in the last 5 years. It's no longer about America, Russia, China only. There's America, Russia is, we don't know. China, but now there's Europe as a big power, becoming a big power, and India is becoming a big power, and then very soon Brazil, and Turkey may come back as a contender for that. I think that when the oil industry declines and the oil question evaporates, so it's no longer about who has the oil, say 10, 15 years, then Turkey may come into a position of being the major leader of the region, because it's no longer going to be about the control of the resources. It's going to be about other things.
The worst part of this inflation is about the ethics and the corruption and the unregistered economy and inequality in trades and in all terms. Unfortunately, this unregistered economy, due to high inflation and exchange rates, created a terrible environment in terms of ethics and laws and etc. We are now compared with Colombia, so this is really very disturbing. And also the uncontrolled immigration to Turkey from problematic parts of the world. The demographic shift is so dangerous and so disturbing. We are not such a country that we close our borders and we don't want anybody and so on, but this is incredibly high. In the world ranking, Turkey is I think the number one country who accepts everybody. It is so dangerous, and it is creating trouble for social security and all kind of security indeed. We have to solve these problems. The inflation is not creating only economic difficulties, financial difficulties, but it is also creating enormous social problems.
You have difficult neighbors.
Indeed, our political situation is a kind of advantage, but it is a curse at the same time. And while you're looking around us, you don't see any peaceful area that we can say that on that side we are okay. There is no such border, no such direction all surroundings are extremely problematic countries and regions.
Let me ask a couple of questions about artificial intelligence. One of the key challenges here is this one. On the one hand, I think that having intelligent assistants like IA, not AI, those kind of systems are the key to making a lot of things much better, faster, cleaner, more sustainable. Those are practical things like smart software, smart systems, analytics, and all these practical things. I think that's actually about 90% of the business application of AI. And what it does is that it takes our routine jobs and it transfers some of the routine to the machines, the software and hardware, so that we can do other things. Yeah? For example, you don't fill out the Excel spreadsheet, but you have an AI that makes the graph and things like that. However, on the other hand, now the official goal of many companies like OpenAI and Microsoft, their goal is to invent a general intelligence. So this is a machine that's not just playing chess or Go. This is a machine that has human-like intelligence to beat us on every kind of work, not manual work, but any sort of intellectual knowledge work. Because basically what's happening is when a machine has live information in 800 languages of 10 billion people, of every piece of information about us and every kind of media, and we're getting there, in the next 5 years, then it can put together a map of everything, patterns of everything, and it can be your assistant. So instead of having a person, you have an AI assistant. You say, okay, I need to go to India, figure out the travel schedule and make a press release, can do all those things. So then it becomes more generally intelligent. And a lot of the concern I have about that is that at a certain point, we lose control of the environment to where we do things. And there we are in charge of what it does. For example, in medical fields, if a doctor has an AI, then will the doctor just say yes to the AI and decide on the treatment? Or can we question the AI? Or do we have knowledge that is beyond the black box? So what would happen if a doctor has all this information and the machine says, your patient is dying in 5 minutes unless you do this? And this is already becoming an issue, right? And it's not just on those things, but it's also legal issues and so on. And so the question I have, will we just have to say yes and we can't do anything? We can't question it anymore? And what happens when that happens in all languages, for example? So right now it's mostly English, definitely not Turkish. But this is a question of time until these agents work really well in every mainstream language. So what do you think is the likely scenario? Because on the first part, I say that basically using smart software, it's primarily a good thing because it increases output and it helps us to do better. But intelligent systems that can do things on their own and can really start reasoning, being more like humans, I think that is extremely dangerous and probably not such a good idea.
We cannot say these things in a very certain way right now. Most of the people are concentrating on the negative possible effects of AI. We are exaggerating in short term the things that will happen, that might happen. But in long term, we are not exaggerating. In a reverse, we are assuming that they may not happen at all. So I think we are in that kind of period right now. We are a little bit exaggerating, thinking that everywhere and every country, every people will be able to use that very quickly in a very proper way. Although we know that to run these systems are extremely difficult indeed in terms of energy, hardware and software infrastructure, the internet connection and everything. So I think we are underestimating this kind of requirements to use AI and other technological advancement in the way that we assume.
I think that the reality is that right now we can use AI. It's very expensive to use and we have to pay. But if everybody used it, if 2 billion people, say, were using it like all the time, it would collapse. And so in general, we need a lot more energy, a lot more computing, a lot more chips.
Yes.
We need quantum computing, supercomputing, we need all these things. But here's the thing. I think that within 5 years, it becomes feasible to scale, and we will have new forms of energy, of course, like nuclear fusion and, of course, solar energy.
Hopefully.
I think maybe by 2040, we will have a scenario to where super intelligence becomes possible.
Yes, I see within 10 years, most of these problems will be solved. In the meantime, till going there, people will be suffering with reshaping themselves and replacing themselves. And there are many mental problems with us because we will be changing all our paradigms in terms of social and working life. Everything will be changed dramatically. So within 5 to 10 years, we have to reshape ourselves. If we will continue, if we have to continue to work, we really have to think, what are we going to do to earn our lives? Yes, there are theories about universal basic income, and there are theories about abundance, and there are theories if the productivity will increase that much, that means the costs will decrease. Okay, our salaries or our incomes will decrease, but at the same time, the costs will decrease. So all these are true, might be true. Most probably we will see those developments because we are experienced enough to create scenarios, because we learned that from the computation, the internet revolution, and so on. So I prefer not to think more than 5 years or 10 years, but I suggest people to concentrate on themselves, to balance their mental health at first, and to reimagine their future, their own capabilities, their own skills, whatever it is. And they have to concentrate on themselves, and they have to reshape their life, considering all these assumptions and thoughts. So I think beyond that is really too much for ongoing people's mindset and living conditions, because people are really so tired, so fed up with so many information, and we were rushing after information, data, and now we are fed up with information and data. We really would like to see and decide what to do with all these things. How can we use these data, and how it may help me to improve my life or my business, etc. We are really so confused. That's too much.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most important things, is that we need to figure out how we get younger people to believe in the future again. And because a lot of young people are desperate, they look at climate change and politics and automation and immigration and artificial intelligence taking over the jobs. And it's a very negative view. I don't know about Turkey, but in Europe, there's 70% of European young people said they're not going to have kids because the world is bad. It's probably different in Turkey, but there's a lot of negative views. So I would like to do something to set the record straight for young people also, that the future can be good and it has great potential. It's not that we can't do anything. We are doing lots of things, but that we have to have the right wisdom and the right decisions to implement the good future. So it's a funny thing when you look at all the possibilities of technology. We can probably solve pretty much every practical problem, healthcare, water, food, but we have to use technology in the right way. And we have to make sure that everybody has access. And we have to make sure that it's not just the developed countries, but the developing countries. And of course, Turkey is right in the middle between those two things. It's like we need to figure out how we can make it equally accessible. And that's a question of policy and development and wisdom to actually make it happen. Otherwise, we end up in a world that's very polarized. So we have the ones that can do it and the other ones who can't do it. And for example, we can be green economies in Europe and in America by 2030, but we don't get India and China and Africa and the Middle East to come along. It's useless because we still are going to explode. And this is a big problem because in Europe, we're on the way. Germany is 37% green energy. But if we reach 100%, that would be very good. But on the other hand, it will make no difference to the global agenda if the other countries like Brazil, India, Indonesia, if they keep building coal plants, because the global atmosphere is still going to get worse. And this is one of those examples where I think young people need to understand what that means, this shift, and why there's hope that we can collaborate, because a lot of young people feel hopeless. There's a lot of young women between 25 and 35 who feel like there's nothing positive happening because they don't see an objective. And I think we need to change that, because young people are the ones who are going to define the future, obviously, and especially the 25 to 40-year-olds, the millennial, my kids, that age, they are stuck now. They don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, and we have to liberate them to actually make the future. This is an important topic, because especially for Turkey, I believe, because there's so many young people. How do we get them onto the agenda of the good future?
We cannot talk to young people anymore when we are talking about future. The world is having a great demographic shift, and there is an aging problem. There is a longevity problem, and the retired people, the retirement or the systems who are related to age is diminishing. Indeed, there is a great anxiety, not only in young generation's mind and life, but also in elder generation's mind, because they have to live long by doing something and by earning money. In countries, developed countries, most of the retired population is okay. They have some kind of security for their lifetime. But in countries like us, and these are not very few, the elder people are in panic. What are they going to do? Everything is changing. They do not know technology a lot. They even don't understand, but they are still living and they are still in a position to earn money. And what are they doing? This is elder people, and young people is naturally having many problems because the world is not able to create capital anymore. The capitalism is not creating capital for young people anymore. So that's why they are objecting and trying to change all financial system towards cryptocurrencies or crypto assets and blockchain and metaverse and so on. There is a huge homework for humanity. So we have to solve really big problems in this decade. We have to find some ways, either elder, even children, young people, and elder people who are living long. And I'm sure that you heard about Stanford opened up a new department or new section about 100 years old people and these demographic shift issues. So there is a kind of anxiety in the world, the climate anxiety, the income anxiety, the technology anxiety. I call this period of time anxiety period.
And anxiety time.
Yeah, anxiety time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because when we talk about anything, even the climate, even the finance, even the social, even the politics and so on, we see there are red lights, alarms on that topic. So the young people are really in desperate psychology all over the world. I think we are traveling around and we have followers from every part of the world. And they are right. They are right to feel that, because we are not able to solve their problems, because we, elder people, are talking about the climate crisis and the global warming and the financial problems, ethic problems, and so on. But we are not solve anything. So they are losing their faith. They don't believe us. They don't feel respect towards us. So I think the major problem is about us, the elder generation. We have to solve first our problems, and we have to educate ourselves